The daughter of a conglomerate vice president was bullied to death. But the man not only publicly forgave the perpetrators in front of all media, and even adopted a mentally ill girl. However, it wasn't because his maternal instincts exploded. He just didn't want to go through legal procedures, but wanted to take revenge with his own hands. And when the bullying incident was exposed, the entire society was in an uproar. Those perpetrators not only abused her for a long time, but also threatened her with nude photos not to tell anyone. Unable to bear the burden, she eventually chose to jump off a building. When people discovered that the vice president of the largest conglomerate was the deceased's father, he held a press conference. But at the press conference, he publicly forgave those perpetrators, and even asked the police to treat them leniently. The entire internet was instantly in uproar, cursing him for being cold-blooded and heartless. Some even said he wasn't a qualified father, but no one expected that it was just an act. The vice president had long been heartbroken. He didn't not hate them, but hated them to the extreme. He didn't plan to leave revenge to the law, because he had other plans, and they were much more ruthless. Not long after, he adopted a girl of similar age to his daughter, named Karma, meaning karmic retribution. She was an experimental subject who escaped from a North Korean laboratory, a complete psychopath with antisocial personality disorder. The vice president didn't treat her as a daughter, but as a hunting dog. He had Karma transferred to the same class at the school his daughter once attended. The goal was clear: revenge. And Karma was also very willing. She could both repay the adoption debt and enjoy the pleasure of torture and killing. Soon Karma transferred to that high school. Those perpetrators were still living carefree lives, bullying others every day. And the story that followed unfolded like the gates of hell opening. The girl used as a revenge tool was an experimental subject who escaped from North Korea. Inhumane experiments caused damage to the girl's frontal lobe. She therefore lost her sense of shame and pain. During her escape from the laboratory, she viciously killed 13 experimental personnel. While being received in South Korea, she brutally knocked down several prison guards. Her combat ability far exceeded that of ordinary people. After Vice President Lee adopted her as his daughter, he trained her for a full year before letting her transfer to the same class as his deceased daughter. On the first day of transfer, Karma's cute appearance attracted classmates to welcome her. Everyone was curious that she didn't have any North Korean accent. Karma said she often watched Korean dramas to learn. Since everyone wanted to hear a North Korean accent she could demonstrate once. South Korean classmates very happy to meet you all. The humorous accent immediately made the whole class burst into laughter, while the glasses girl who was often bullied nearby was extremely envious. Because just yesterday, she was bullied by the eldest daughter of Lingyun Trading Company's president. The classmates nearby didn't dare report to the teacher, because the vice president's daughter's experience was a cautionary tale. Today, the glasses girl looked at Karma, feeling a hint of jealousy. But before she could think more, the bullies appeared, scaring her to almost wet her pants. The curly-haired girl asked Karma if she wanted to join her gang. The main storyline officially began in Vice President Lee's daughter's diary. The curly-haired girl was the #1 bully. After reading her information, Karma couldn't wait to experience the taste of torture and killing. But Vice President Lee told her not to rush, because before that, there were more important things to do. Looking at the curly-haired girl who suddenly hugged her, Karma agreed to join her gang. To celebrate the new member, the curly-haired girl started bullying the glasses girl again, directly putting a black garbage bag over the glasses girl's head. Karma asked her why she was doing this. The curly-haired girl said the glasses girl accidentally knocked off her phone, although it wasn't broken, to prevent this from happening again. She planned to train the glasses girl to walk straight even with her eyes closed. The requirement was simple: just walk from here to the podium without hitting the desk. But every time she hit something, she would get beaten. Then the curly-haired girl pushed the glasses girl out. As expected, the glasses girl hit the desk corner after just 2 steps. The curly-haired girl excitedly kicked her from behind, making her fall directly onto the floor. But this wasn't over. The curly-haired girl added several more kicks. Classmates all pretended not to see. The curly-haired girl invited Karma to join the bullying game. The class monitor nearby finally couldn't stand it. Just as she was about to intervene, she found Karma took the initiative to say, "Bullying classmates is wrong. Please apologize to her immediately." As soon as these words came out, the whole class was stunned. The curly-haired girl was furious and cursed, immediately kicking Karma, and this ushered in the horn of revenge. It turned out this was exactly Vice President Lee's plan. As long as Karma successfully became a bullying victim, then he would have justification to send the curly-haired girl to that place. But he instructed Karma to endure for at least a week before fighting back. Just as Karma almost couldn't hold back and was about to retaliate, the teacher suddenly came in saying it was time for PE class. She had no choice but to endure for now. In PE class, the curly-haired girl secretly smoked with chopsticks and used the glasses girl as a mount. She also put the lit cigarette below her, saying it was to compensate for her glasses. Then several people heard footsteps, but before she could extinguish it, they found it was just the class monitor. Hearing the monitor tell them to restrain themselves, the glasses girl thought the monitor came to help her. But unexpectedly, she picked up a cigarette and lit it. It turned out she was also one of Vice President Lee's daughter's bullies. The glasses girl was immediately dumbfounded. The usually quiet monitor's true face was actually the leader of this group of bullies, and the monitor had just told them to keep a low profile because they had killed someone a few months ago. If something happened again, it might implicate herself. After all, not everyone was as saintly as Vice President Lee. Looking at her high and mighty appearance, the curly-haired girl was furious, because since middle school, the monitor had always acted like a quiet good student, pushing all the dirty work and bad reputation to herself. But once in a place with no one around, she would expose her perverted nature. Before she could react, the monitor suddenly called her, asking why she was glaring at her. Did she want to die? Then advised several people not to bully classmates in front of her. After all, bullying others would also cause withdrawal reactions. Then advised the glasses girl not to tell on them. Otherwise, I'll take your life. Then stepped on her hand. The glasses girl cried out in pain and quickly begged for mercy, saying she would keep quiet. Only then did the monitor reluctantly lift her foot. The glasses girl instinctively pulled back her hand, causing the curly-haired girl to lose balance, falling heavily, then viciously kicking the glasses girl in the face. Looking at the monitor laughing at her nearby, she secretly gave her the middle finger behind her back. The monitor then looked at Karma. Her pretty face made her very unhappy. She must punish her severely. Coming to the physical fitness test, looking at Karma's handsome figure standing in front of the soccer ball, many classmates became little fangirls. This scene made the curly-haired girl even more excited. After all, she had long wanted to change toys. After all, if you're going to keep a dog, there must be the pleasure of taming it. And she looked like she had no backing. Her figure was also very frail, but before she could finish thinking, Karma kicked the ball. A huge cannon sound echoed throughout the playground. Before the curly-haired girl could react, Karma made another fierce kick, but this ball hit the goalpost. And after bouncing back, it almost exploded the little gangster girl's head. But before she could get angry, the little gangster girl was immediately too scared to speak. Just wanted to advise the curly-haired girl to forget it, but the curly-haired girl was already fired up, swearing to torture Karma severely after class. In a blink of an eye, they were back in the classroom. As soon as she entered, she asked Karma if she knew who her brother was. Do you have the guts to kick me like you kicked the ball? However, Karma just smiled slightly. If the ball isn't on the ground, how should I kick it? You're really cute. The curly-haired girl was so angry she was about to slap Karma. But just then, Karma punched her and sent her flying. The monitor was also dumbfounded, and Karma really felt great. Beating people felt great. The screaming sounds were so pleasant. She could only silently apologize to Vice President Lee in her heart for ruining his plan, but there was no way. Her nature was just like this. Oh right, now the ball is on the ground, I can start kicking. The girl stepped hard on the bully's head, asking her what kind of shooting technique she wanted to be kicked with. Was it a spinning ball, or using the toe to directly kick through the back of her head? Just as she was deciding, the little gangster girl suddenly appeared behind her holding a chair. However, Karma just slightly lowered her head and dodged the attack, and caused the little gangster girl to lose balance and fall hard to the ground. Karma immediately laughed. Although loyalty is good, if you want to be loved, you need to wait in line. If you want to cut in line, then as you wish. Screaming sounds spread throughout the entire corridor, scaring classmates into trembling. It turned out Karma just used her hair to tie her hands behind her back, then grabbed her head and slammed it hard into the desk. Once wasn't enough, twice, 3 times. Not only were the classmates scared silly, the monitor who rushed over after hearing the noise was also confused. But she just said, "I'm going to call the teacher," and left. The little gangster girl kept begging for mercy. But what answered her were only fists and kicks. After dealing with the little gangster girl, Karma turned her gaze to the girl nearby, scaring her into retreating repeatedly, saying she hadn't done anything. But actually, among those who bullied the glasses girl, there was also her figure. Karma kept approaching her. The girl was so scared she slipped and fell to the ground. Then she noticed the utility knife that had fallen nearby, immediately picked it up threateningly, telling Karma not to come closer. Karma just smiled slightly. "If you have the guts, try cutting me." The girl didn't dare move at all. Seeing her so weak, Karma continued approaching her. The girl finally couldn't help but strike, but Karma just tilted her body slightly and successfully dodged. 1 slash, 2 slashes, 3 slashes. The dumbfounded girl switched to stabbing, successfully cutting off a few of Karma's hairs. Karma grabbed her arm with her backhand. A simple, over-the-shoulder throw. Threw her so hard she instantly lost strength. But this wasn't over. Karma also grabbed her hair, quietly whispered in her ear, "Don't worry, dizziness is normal. I've killed people, so I know when people will die. Let's continue playing." Then Karma delivered another violent kick, making her face slam hard into the cabinet. Before she could recover, this time she was probably really going to die. The frightened classmates all panicked, afraid they would be next. Karma told them not to worry. "I'm doing this for the people, and speaking of which, shouldn't you all thank me?" As soon as these words came out, the curly-haired girl was scared into trembling. Karma asked her how long she planned to play dead, and "I'm not a bear," while Karma wasn't paying attention. The curly-haired girl crawled to the door, but found the door had been locked long ago. So something comical happened. So satisfying, so satisfying. "Didn't you always want me to kick you? How do you think I'm doing? But save the compliments for after I stop." The fierce punches scared the classmates into not daring to move. Karma's pathological degree was the same as other murderers. She loved seeing blood and screams. But what excited Karma most was the human face when losing consciousness. The rush of pleasure to the brain made Karma cry out, "Curly-haired girl, you're really beautiful now." A subordinate frantically burst into President Lee's office, but seeing President Lee's calm demeanor, it seemed he had long anticipated Karma would cause trouble. Seeing his subordinate's confused expression, President Lee couldn't help it either. "To be honest, I want to see those murderers' death faces even more than Karma. But since this has already happened, let's handle it." Meanwhile, Karma, who was pulled away, saw the monitor. The two locked eyes. The girl had beaten the bullies severely, but when the bully's mother came to the door, she casually took off her jacket, revealing cigarette burn scars on her body. The curly-haired girl was immediately dumbfounded. "I don't remember when I ever burned her with cigarettes." And this was exactly Karma's backup plan, just in case. She had burned herself with cigarettes several times on the way to school. Anyway, her body couldn't feel pain. Looking at Karma's evil smile, the curly-haired girl realized she had been tricked, and what her mother cared about was actually that the curly-haired girl hadn't quit smoking. Karma continued to add fuel to the fire. The curly-haired girl had a bright idea, asking Karma if she knew what cigarettes she smoked. "I just came to Korea. How would I know what brands of cigarettes there are?" Wonderful, too wonderful. Feeling that she was in the wrong, her mother could only shift the topic to the beating. After all, the other two were injured more seriously. Learning that the dean had contacted Karma's guardian, she immediately grabbed the phone to start scolding. But President Lee just said calmly, "I'm very busy. If it's about discussing compensation, my secretary will notify you of the time and place," then hung up. Her mother was immediately dumbfounded, like father, like daughter. "Although I don't know who your father is, I'll make you suffer for the rest of your life," Karma smiled. After the mother and daughter left, Karma also guessed that President Lee was very angry. "But stepfather, wait and see how I torture this woman even more satisfyingly." Meanwhile, the monitor also discovered something was wrong with Karma. She thought she was a village girl full of justice, but from the current perspective, she was clearly targeting the curly-haired girl. What she said about punishing the bad was more like an excuse given to her by someone else. Today's incident was definitely not accidental. Then the curly-haired girl came. As soon as she arrived, she questioned the monitor why it took so long to call a teacher. "With this time, I could have called a truckload of teachers." The monitor thought for a moment, "Because I don't have a truck driver's license, so I couldn't transport teachers over." The curly-haired girl was speechless. "I think you were deliberately late, because once Karma saw you bringing teachers, she would definitely rush up to hit you. And with your personality, you definitely wouldn't just take a beating. Then all the teachers and students in the school would know your true face." The monitor was speechless, directly throwing the book at her face, then kicked her. This strength was definitely not inferior to Karma's. The monitor asked the curly-haired girl, "If I was deliberately late, what can you do to me? It seems I just haven't disciplined you for a few days. You forgot that you were trash in terms of both family and background. The only thing you can rely on is your school bully brother. Go find him and act cute while you still can." Watching the curly-haired girl's departing figure, the monitor thought of President Lee again. After all, the reaction of someone whose daughter died was very abnormal no matter how you looked at it. If Karma was President Lee's person, then the school bully's counterattack today would expose it. Then it would be in time to think of countermeasures. On the other side, the curly-haired girl felt even worse, because even the school bully was laughing at her. The curly-haired girl quickly acted cute, asking him to take revenge, but he wasn't interested at all. "Unless the person who beat you is hot enough." The curly-haired girl was extremely speechless, immediately took out Karma's photo. The school bully's eyes immediately lit up. It turned out he was also one of President Lee's daughter's bullies. The girl was surrounded by the school bullies gang, and a bullying scene was about to unfold. However, Karma's casual punch sent the nearest lackey flying. The others were immediately shocked, speechless. It turned out that under equal conditions, female strength was only 60% of male strength. But Karma, who had been modified in the laboratory, could freely control adrenaline. Therefore, every punch Karma threw was comparable to a boxing champion's power. At this moment, all the lackeys didn't dare move. Some even wanted to go home to find their mothers. Hearing this, the school bully couldn't hold it in. "There are so many of us, what are we afraid of? Hurry up and attack." But Karma suddenly noticed the wall nearby, immediately ran toward the wall. Using the inertia from running, she actually ran on the wall. After simple adjustments, she assumed a jumping posture. Before everyone could react, Karma delivered a heavy knee strike to one of them, then grabbed his hair and delivered very fierce follow-up attacks. The lackeys were all dumbfounded, but one of them turned grief and anger into strength, continuing to charge at Karma. But Karma's second ability was that anything appeared very slow in her eyes. Correspondingly, she also had reaction speed far beyond ordinary people. After testing, Karma's reaction time was 27 milliseconds, 10 times faster than ordinary people. Therefore, even facing group attacks, she could easily handle them. Then one lackey suddenly hugged Karma. Another one wanted to rush up for revenge, but Karma just twisted slightly and dodged, and even gave him a kick, then reached below and grabbed hard. The man immediately loosened his grip in pain, but Karma didn't plan to let go. Instead, grabbed even harder, until it was completely crushed. The lackey from before was completely scared, immediately turned and ran, cursing crazy while running. But how could Karma easily let him go? She got up and sprinted a few steps, flew up with a kick, kicking him until he lost mobility, falling hard in front of the school bully, constantly begging the school bully to save him. But the next second, only the leader brother is left. Looking at Karma's excited face, the school bully was completely stunned. He thought she was a soft persimmon to be kneaded at will. He didn't expect her fighting ability to be comparable to a boxing champion, knocking down all his lackeys with just a few punches. At this moment, not only the curly-haired girl felt fear, the school bully also wanted to retreat. How could such a terrifying guy be defeated? But Karma saw through his intention to run at a glance. If you want to escape, then try it. I'm also very good at hide and seek. No matter where you run, I'll catch up and beat you up severely. The school bully was scared to the extreme, raised his fist planning to fight Karma desperately. But what Karma didn't expect was that the school bully still had some skills to become the boss. Although she dodged several punches in a row, the school bully successfully seized the moment when she was in the air and punched Karma hard in the arm, making Karma retreat a full 5 meters. Looking at the bruise on her arm, Karma became even more excited. Now I'm going to get serious. The insulted school bully was furious to the extreme, clenched his fist and threw 2 heavy punches, but Karma easily dodged them both. Instead, Karma seized the moment when he punched, preparing to crush his liver severely. Although the school bully blocked with his arm in time, the terrifying impact still transmitted to his body through his arm. The school bully was in great pain, retreating several steps. Karma was also somewhat surprised that he could block her surprise attack. The school bully really couldn't understand where Karma got such terrifying power. But if Karma only had this level, thinking about it, he started laughing. Karma was also puzzled about what he was laughing at, because I think you're not as difficult to deal with as I imagined. Karma was speechless. When I first came to school to establish dominance, I fought with the boss from the neighboring high school. That guy was 185 centimeters tall, weighed 115 kilograms, and his punches were even more fierce than yours. But in the end, I still won. Can your small frame be more durable than him? Saying this, he charged at Karma again. After throwing 2 quick punches, he found he could actually keep up with Karma's speed. It seemed she was tired. After all, she had just gone through a battle royale. The school bully didn't give Karma any chance to breathe, constantly consuming Karma's strength. Sure enough, when Karma was dodging, she accidentally tripped over the skateboard behind her. Seeing Karma expose a weakness, the school bully concentrated all his power in his fist, throwing his full-strength punch. The next moment he found Karma had disappeared. Looking up, he found Karma had somehow appeared several meters away. Before he could figure out the situation, Karma's fist was already in front of his face. And this was exactly Karma's third terrifying ability, extremely strong leg explosive power. So in ordinary people's eyes, Karma seemed like she could teleport. The curly-haired girl was going crazy with anxiety. If even the school bully couldn't beat Karma, then the next one to suffer would be herself. But the school bully pushed her away. If you want to fight, go fight her yourself. Karma was also somewhat surprised. I didn't expect you to be quite tough. I'm getting more and more excited. The school bully immediately started brainstorming. Since fists couldn't win, then played dirty. Her fighting style had a high center of gravity. If he attacked her lower body, there might still be a chance. Thinking this, the school bully got up, pretending to punch, but suddenly he hugged Karma's leg, making her fall hard, and took advantage to strangle Karma's neck. You're dead, you bitch. Just as she was about to be beaten up, unexpectedly her feet suddenly exerted force, making the school bully lose balance and fall. Karma took advantage to lock his thigh with a flip, instantly reversing the situation. The school bully didn't understand how he suddenly ended up on the bottom. The next moment, Karma performed the very classic armbar. If not considering physical fitness, Karma's fighting was quite ordinary. But Karma's Brazilian jiu-jitsu was used to perfection. So combined with her reaction speed rivaling a leopard, ordinary people couldn't possibly beat her. If it really happened, it was only because she found it fun and was holding back. Karma asked him, "You want to fight ground combat with me? Does that mean you're mentally prepared for broken bones?" The school bully quickly begged for mercy. But Karma just reminded him, "I'm going to make my move." So she applied slight pressure with both hands. The sound of bones cracking, combined with the school bully's screams, filled the entire street. The 3 who had been beaten finally realized how lightly they were injured. They immediately turned and ran. The school bully didn't expect that the people he had protected for so long would scatter when disaster struck. Karma couldn't help but complain, "The curly-haired girl really has no loyalty. But you're not much better, and just now, I suddenly thought of an interesting idea. Break all your limbs and make you into an interesting human tumbler." The school bully quickly said, breaking just one hand, "You can still make amends, but if I become disabled, can you bear this consequence? Can you take this responsibility?" Karma didn't understand what responsibility meant, because she lived purely to feel the pleasure of torture and killing. With continuous screams, the school bully completely became a cripple, lying on the ground with twisted limbs. Karma was extremely excited. What a beautiful scene. Like admiring her own work, the girl viciously kicked the school bully in the crotch, asking him if he had thought of today when he violated others before. The school bully thought she was a friend of some victim, coming for revenge. "You're really stupid. I just came to this school. Where would I have friends? It's purely personal hobby. And I've always been curious why even the strongest men would scream when attacked in the crotch. So I looked it up in the encyclopedia, It turns out testicles are equivalent to female ovaries. So next, you'll personally experience the pain of severed intestines. After all, having learned new knowledge, I've always wanted to experiment personally. The school bully was about to cry, but his screams made Karma even more pleased. Finally, with a hard squeeze, she successfully sterilized him. The scene at this moment was like a devil descending. Meanwhile, the curly-haired girl and the other two couldn't run anymore. They were also curious why the school bully made no sound. Strangest of all, on such a big road, not a single person could be seen. Otherwise, they could at least call for help. The curly-haired girl whimpered. It turned out the school bully had made arrangements in advance to avoid being disturbed while doing things. The little gangster girl was speechless. Really brought it on yourself. The black-haired girl suddenly realized that Karma was nowhere to be seen, scaring the curly-haired girl into quickly turning around. Sure enough, only a ground full of thugs remained. She immediately got goosebumps, only managing to squeeze out 2 words, "Run quickly." And her premonition was indeed correct. Before running 2 steps, Karma suddenly appeared in front of her riding a balance bike, directly knocking down the curly-haired girl. Rolling several times, the curly-haired girl hugged her calf and screamed crazily in pain. "Why don't you watch where you're going when running? You can't blame me for this. You ran into me yourself." The black-haired girl asked in horror how Karma appeared from the front. "I saw this skateboard was quite fun, so I went around in a circle. And the real show is just beginning. Make sure to excite me, little girls." Looking at Karma, who seemed like a demon. At this moment, the little gangster girls had only one thought: escape. And Karma just sighed, lightly twisted the throttle, and caught up. Then grabbed the little gangster girl's hair, making the other two look on dumbfounded. "Why are you running? Don't you know wheels are faster than legs? If anyone else wants to use asphalt for exfoliation, just say so. I'll help you get it completely clean." The 3 immediately knelt down in unison. "Tell me, what were you planning to do after stripping me naked just now?" Seeing all 3 remain silent, Karma told the curly-haired girl to hand over her phone. Seeing the curly-haired girl dare to ask back what she wanted the phone for, Karma kicked the curly-haired girl's thigh, making her scream in pain. "When I tell you to hand it over, just hand it over, don't talk nonsense." Only then did the curly-haired girl obediently hand it over. After flipping through the photo album, Karma was stunned. Sure enough, she saw many photos of barely clothed girls. "Are you crazy? Why do you have so many girls' photos?" Seeing the curly-haired girl not answer, Karma kicked hard again. "Were my photos also about to be among them? Were they to be used as leverage to threaten me?" The curly-haired girl could only admit due to the pain. Only then did Karma lift her foot. To be honest, Karma didn't understand what was so important about this. After all, having been forced to experiment, she had long lost her sense of shame. But seeing how much these people valued it, it gave Karma an idea. "It seems I've thought of a plan that can replace stepfathers." Then she returned the phone to the curly-haired girl, but before she could catch it, it fell to the ground. The curly-haired girl was immediately dumbfounded. "Oh right, I suddenly have a dream. From today on, my dream is to be a photographer. Because after looking at your photo album, I feel taking this kind of photos must be very fun. I'll give you 2 choices. Either cooperate obediently with my photo shoot, or I'll knock you unconscious and take them by force." The black-haired girl quickly begged for mercy, saying she could do anything except take photos. But Karma directly kicked her. "It seems you choose the second option." The other 2 felt like they had encountered a demon. "If you don't choose, I'll choose for you." The curly-haired girl gritted her teeth and fainted. In the end, it was still President Lee cleaning up after Karma. The original plan was to use Karma's lack of pain sensation and shame, let her be bullied for 2 or 3 weeks, then hold an anti-bullying court. As long as they bribed the judge in advance, the curly-haired girl would be sent for community service. The location would be that island dedicated to serving disabled people. And the true face of this island was actually just a ghost facility. And the curly-haired girl siblings would experience what hell was like. 200 hours of intensive interrogation. Then they just needed to have an accident happen to the ship returning from the island to destroy the evidence. But now Karma had ruined this plan. Actually, Chief Bake felt from the beginning that Karma was unreliable. It seemed they could only reconsider their strategy. And at this time, Karma actually came in humming a song. Chief Bake was furious. "Do you know how important this revenge plan is to President Lee? Why did you have to mess everything up on the first day?" Karma just smiled faintly. "Because I have a more perfect plan." Chief Bake still wanted to scold, but was interrupted by President Lee. "Anyway, let's go into the office first." But unexpectedly, as soon as Karma entered, she was pinned down by President Lee's bodyguards. "I heard you caused trouble on the first day. So many big men dealing with me, one weak woman. Isn't that a bit excessive? But compared to a person, you're more like a beast. Anyway, as your stepfather, I'm very disappointed in you. I know you have unavoidable reasons, but I'm also forced into this. I warned you before not to cause trouble. It seems you prefer eating bullets, right?" The stepfather threatened his adopted daughter with a gun, asking if she had any last words. "Feel free to say them." Karma said Chief Bake's plan was garbage. "Clearly you said before that you wanted to return the harm your daughter suffered to the bullies exactly as it was. If we follow Chief Bake's plan, it absolutely can't be done." Seeing President Lee's confusion, Karma continued. "Because Chief Bake's plan lacks the humiliation element. Think carefully about the content in your daughter's diary. What disgusting things did the curly-haired girl and others do to her, forcing her to crawl into the men's bathroom in front of the whole school? This kind of extreme humiliation is the debt the curly-haired girl must repay, and this sense of humiliation only works when there are onlookers present. This is the most perfect revenge, but you want to send her to an isolated island. It's really too merciful. To be honest, I'm somewhat disappointed in you. Clearly you appear to spare no means for revenge on the surface, but you're afraid others will notice something. Your so-called revenge is really too perfunctory. Have you forgotten your original intention? President Lee didn't answer immediately but thought for a while and asked, "Your brain damage should make you unable to feel shame, so how can you feel the other person's humiliation?" "I can't feel it, but I can savor it, which means, as long as I see the twisted expressions of little girls, I'll feel extremely excited. You have to believe, I can take revenge to the extreme, but the prerequisite is that it must be completed at school." President Lee only thought for a moment before agreeing to Karma's proposal. "Although your argument seems quite convincing so far. If you dare to play any tricks next, I'll make sure you eat a bullet." Karma then laid out her entire plan, leaving both President Lee and Chief Bake stunned, though President Lee seemed satisfied enough. Since that's the case, they'll go with Karma's plan. First, they need to contact the curly-haired girl's parents, but right now he needs to talk to Karma alone. Seeing President Lee planning to face Karma by himself, his subordinates all felt it was dangerous. But under his stern orders, they had no choice but to obediently leave. Karma, now freed from her restraints, stretched lazily and was about to say something endearing. But President Lee only asked her, "Do you know why I'm no longer holding a grudge?" Karma thought President Lee had approved of her plan. But actually, it was because Karma was the only one in this household who fully understood what kind of revenge President Lee wanted. So Karma's plan was very much worth considering, which is why he decided to entrust the entire revenge plan to Karma. But you're not allowed to act on your own without permission again. Karma obediently agreed and bowed to thank President Lee for giving her this opportunity. As she spoke, Karma pulled out a USB drive from her pocket. This was the audio recording President Lee had asked her to make earlier. President Lee didn't expect the evidence to be obtained much faster than he had anticipated. "Oh, I recommend you listen to recording number 6. The sound of the school bully's balls getting crushed is absolutely exquisite." President Lee immediately plugged the USB into his computer, and instantly the school bully's screams echoed throughout the entire room. Karma didn't expect President Lee to be this type of person too, listening to the screams while shedding tears. Meanwhile, in the hospital room, the school bully's mother had a breakdown, and the curly-haired girl's father was desperately going around making connections from the situation, preparing to sue Karma regardless of the consequences. After hanging up the phone, the father was heartbroken and nearly in tears, but the curly-haired girl didn't dare tell the truth, because Karma held something she feared most in her hands. "Always remember that your leverage is in my hands." The curly-haired girl could only say through tears that she was fine. Just then, the father's phone rang. The caller claimed to be Karma's guardian. After a brief conversation, the curly-haired girl's parents came to the agreed-upon building. They thought the other party was there to reconcile, but the moment they pushed open the conference room door, they were stunned. "Long time no see, Yoon-jin's father. I'm Karma's stepfather, Lee Myung-jun." When the bully's parents came knocking, they were shocked to discover that the person their daughter had been bullying was actually the heiress of the largest conglomerate. Although internally shocked, the man still gritted his teeth and mustered the courage to question. "Are you here for revenge because your daughter died?" President Lee just calmly replied, "You're overthinking it. I already publicly forgave the bullies at the press conference. How could I possibly want revenge?" But the man didn't believe it at all. "If you want to prove it wasn't you, you must give me satisfactory compensation. Otherwise, as soon as I expose your use of minors for revenge, you'll lose your chance to become the conglomerate's president." President Lee just glared at him. "Fine, then I'll tell you my compensation plan now. I heard your company recently wants to expand into the Southeast Asian market, so I'll provide full support from the conglomerate." Before the man could react, President Lee turned his gaze to the curly-haired girl's mother. "I heard you're very interested in our conglomerate's luxury brands. If you're willing to reconcile, I'll immediately upgrade you to VVIP status." The mother immediately expressed her anger. "What kind of shallow person do you think I am?" But President Lee just continued with the compensation terms. "I heard your family has a history of cancer, especially the curly-haired girl's grandmother, who just had colon cancer surgery recently. But cancer can always recur, and our conglomerate's cancer hospital has the most advanced technology. We can promise to provide lifetime free medical benefits for your entire family. Of course, lastly is the most direct compensation." President Lee snapped his fingers, and his subordinates walked in carrying several briefcases, filled to the brim with cash. "Although money cannot make up for the pain we've caused you both. This is roughly 2 billion. And besides that, I also plan to compensate you both with a luxury apartment worth 5 billion. Do you think this amount is sufficient for now?" Unexpectedly, the man suddenly started laughing. "You read people well. It's just my son missing one testicle. I was already worried he'd cause trouble someday anyway. Might as well take this opportunity to cut off the other one too." But the woman suddenly whispered something in his ear. because her intuition told her things weren't this simple. The man replied, "Don't worry, I know there's definitely something fishy about this. But just follow my lead." Then the man asked President Lee, "Do we need to write up an agreement right away?" But President Lee said before that, he had 2 conditions. First, the bullying incident must be kept strictly confidential. The man readily agreed. Next came the second condition, which was revealed as the door opened. And that was to let Karma continue studying at school. "Through this incident, you should know that my stepdaughter cannot adapt to Korean life. So she needs friends around her who can help her. I hope the curly-haired girl can play this role. Since I heard you're close with the principal, would you be willing to lend me a hand?" Before he could respond, Karma spoke up. "I'm very sorry for the violence against your children. And to make up for my mistakes, I hope you both can give me a chance. I promise that even after graduating high school, I'll continue to maintain my friendship with the curly-haired girl. You can also consider this as a bond between our 2 companies, so I'm very earnestly begging you both to agree." Looking at Karma's serious expression, both of them showed greedy looks. Success finally succeeded in obtaining the right to torment the curly-haired girl at will. "Don't celebrate too early, you two. Someday I'll make you pay back 100-fold. Karma smiled slightly. "It seems the compromising photos in my hands haven't been exposed, and now I essentially have double insurance. Finally, I can get my revenge without any obstacles." Meanwhile, the curly-haired girl was somewhat excited, thinking Karma would be kneeling before her parents right now, crying and begging for mercy. After all, her brother had become a cripple. As long as Karma gets abandoned, the one who laughs last will definitely be me. Every night, the conglomerate's vice president would be awakened by nightmares of his daughter being bullied. Although he didn't want to read his daughter's diary, the contents could constantly remind him of the torture his daughter had endured while alive. And the revenge plan officially entered its second phase. He asked Karma why she wasn't sleeping yet. Karma said, "Just thinking about being able to toy with the curly-haired girl at will from now on makes me too excited to sleep." President Lee didn't say much, only hoping Karma could destroy everything about the curly-haired girl. Karma grinned. "I guarantee I'll complete the mission." The next day, the entire school was in an uproar. Even though Karma had just crippled the school bully yesterday, she could still come to class completely unharmed today. The curly-haired girl also didn't understand why her father told her yesterday that she must get along well with Karma, and that she absolutely had to do so, leaving her completely confused. But no matter how angry she was, she didn't dare say no. Karma suddenly stood up, startling the curly-haired girl into trembling. "Unjin, bring your little followers and gather at the lockers." The monitor was also confused about what was happening. As the 3 gathered, the curly-haired girl timidly asked what she wanted to do. Karma said, "Don't be afraid, let's get along well from now on. To show our reconciliation, let's play a game. The dog-walking game that everyone from young to old enjoys." The curly-haired girl was completely dumbfounded. Black hair quietly asked, "It's not what I'm thinking, right?" Karma said, "Of course not." She just sighed. Then Karma said it was putting dog collars around their necks for a walking game. The classmates couldn't believe they were playing this big at school. "So next, let me explain the roles you'll be playing. Say he looks like a mischievous sprite, so she's a beagle. Yeun has a longer face, so she's a Doberman. Finally, cute Yoonjin, you're definitely a Chihuahua." The curly-haired girl couldn't believe it and immediately slapped the collar away. Karma said heartbrokenly, "That collar was quite expensive." The curly-haired girl hadn't figured out the situation at all and threatened Karma, saying she'd tell her dad. Karma replied, "You don't want to play this game? That's fine, but my disappointed heart needs comforting. So, I need other things to change my mood." The curly-haired girl quickly asked what it was. "I heard you often post daily photos on social media. What do you think I should post? Think carefully about those photos we've taken together. It should be fine for me to upload those, right?" The curly-haired girl was so scared she immediately grabbed Karma's phone and started apologizing frantically. "Don't push your luck. Friends should support each other, not oppose each other at every turn. It seems you don't want to be friends with me. If you don't play with me, I'll upload the photos." The curly-haired girl was truly frightened. Then Karma picked up the collar from the ground. "So next, let's go for a walk together." The girl was fitted with a collar and crawled slowly around the school. But none of the watching students stepped forward to stop it. Instead, they applauded. Simply because she was originally a damned bully, who even caused the vice president's daughter to commit suicide by jumping off a building. This scene was exactly what she deserved. Hearing the murmurs of the surrounding students, the curly-haired girl finally couldn't help but curse out loud. "Once my brother recovers, you're all finished." But before she could finish speaking, Karma interrupted her, causing her to fall heavily to the ground. "How can a good dog bark randomly? Do I need to get you a muzzle?" Karma asked the little delinquent nearby why her expression looked strange. "If you find filming boring, then come play the beagle role." This scared her into shaking her head frantically. "Students, don't be afraid. All the activities I'm conducting have the participants' consent." "Oh right, Chihuahua. You need to crawl faster so we can make it to the boys' class before the break ends." The curly-haired girl was instantly drenched in cold sweat. Seeing she didn't want to go, Karma said, "What's this compared to? Dragging someone into the boys' restroom. Like a certain someone did? The curly-haired girl didn't understand how Karma knew about this. Dogs don't talk. If you don't want to walk, your master will mercifully drag you along. So the two of them headed toward the boys' class like this. The boys who saw them couldn't believe it. Are girls making short videos this bizarre now? Another person said, this is obviously school bullying. The curly-haired girl could only crawl while wiping away tears. Just then, a blonde guy blocked their path, asking what was going on. Karma said, can't you see? I'm walking my dog. So Karma introduced to the curly-haired girl, this blonde is my first male friend since coming to Korea. The curly-haired girl didn't understand how the first-year boss could be hanging out with Karma, and was even mocking her together with Karma. She even handed him the leash to try walking her. The curly-haired girl was almost breaking down. What are you to be walking me? The blonde just said helplessly, the dog can actually talk. Karma even threatened, why do you keep stimulating my urge to upload? The blonde yanked hard, making the curly-haired girl instinctively cry out. That's right, now you're making sounds like a proper dog should. The curly-haired girl still wanted to threaten the blonde with her bully brother, but the blonde wasn't scared at all. Always bringing up your brother. Do you want to die? Besides, I heard you're the one who had your brother come discipline us. Thinking about the torture during that time, my hands are getting itchy. Seeing she still wanted to explain, Karma stopped her. Look at the queue ahead. Those are all people who were beaten up by your brother. You better prepare yourself mentally. Come on, everyone line up here. One pull of the dog leash costs only 1,001. High volume, low profit. Everyone was dying to go first. And they almost had a stampede incident. Painful sounds immediately filled the entire hallway. After it ended, Karma was in a good mood, and asked the curly-haired girl if it was fun. She was already numb at this point. Suddenly, Karma turned her gaze to the monitor, praising her for still studying even during break. This scared her into trembling. I heard that dogs become smart after staying in school for 3 years. So if you go bark next to the monitor, you'll definitely be able to bark out the test answers. Come on, start your performance. If your barking is too half-hearted, I can't guarantee where these photos will end up circulating. The curly-haired girl immediately started barking frantically. Watching the curly-haired girl's ugly performance, the monitor chanted in her mind, can't see, can't see. But as the curly-haired girl barked louder and louder, the classmates all rolled their eyes, and the monitor couldn't stand it anymore, angrily breaking her pen. She asked Karma what she was trying to do. I'm walking my dog, what's wrong with that? Don't worry, my chihuahua doesn't bite. I'll make sure to get her properly vaccinated too. The monitor didn't want to deal with her at all, and immediately left the classroom. Karma also showed an interesting smile. The monitor was now certain that President Lee was definitely behind Karma, and the next target would be herself. She had to think of a countermeasure. The bully suddenly had an interesting discovery, since nicotine is more toxic than potassium cyanide. That means this cigarette in my hand is more dangerous than potassium cyanide. Yet here I am, clearly alive and well. It's unfair to talk about toxicity without considering dosage. So I want to try what happens through ingestion. Don't be too scared. Eating 2 cigarettes definitely won't cause immediate problems. And as long as you spit it out in time, you'll be fine. Then she had the curly-haired girl hold her down. Although extremely unwilling, she could only fearfully comply. So she stuffed the cigarettes in like that. Moon Yijin, the second daughter of a hospital director. And she was Karma's next target. This person was naturally bad, and only acted maliciously in private, which was truly despicable. Apparently she originally wanted to attend sports school but was forcibly dragged to medical school by her director father. Perhaps this could be put to good use. Then she asked Karma for suggestions. Sure enough, Karma immediately had inspiration. But do you approve of my methods, stepfather? So every break time, Karma would stare intently at the monitor. The monitor finally couldn't stand it and slammed her desk, asking Karma what exactly she wanted. Karma remained playfully smiling. Did you already notice that there are only the 2 of us left in the classroom? Only then did she turn around in horror. Indeed, there was no one else in the classroom. The monitor said everyone must have been scared away by Karma. That's too harsh, monitor. It's lunch break now, everyone just went to eat. The monitor shouted what she really wanted to do. Karma just teasingly said, a murderer can still concentrate on reading books? The monitor was only stunned for a moment, then calmly said, I didn't kill anyone. That person committed suicide. You really have no shame. And who do you think caused her suicide? Truly worthy of being monitor. You look just like a refined scoundrel. The monitor angrily turned and left. And in the following days, Karma continued her daily harassment of the monitor. Monitor, I'm so bored, please play with me. She chanted in her mind, can't hear, can't hear. Seeing no response, Karma suddenly pulled out a pen and scribbled all over the monitor's book. This made her curse on the spot. Karma said aggrievedly, I was just trying to help, but you're treating me this way. That's too much. Speechless, she immediately turned and left, but Karma followed. The classmates also noticed the monitor wasn't quite right because they'd never seen this side of her before. Meanwhile, by the trash can, the monitor was frantically cursing Karma's parents, and even kicked the trash can out of shape. Soon calming down, she quickly looked behind her. Fortunately, she didn't see Karma's figure. What puzzled her more was how Karma had picked the lock on her locker and destroyed her 80,001 reference books. But thinking this was just the beginning made her imagine the terrifying prospect of being cornered. But right now, the most important thing was figuring out how to stop Karma from exposing her true nature. Was there really a way to fight such a terrifying monster? But suddenly she realized something was wrong. Looks like I haven't exercised in too long. With Karma's build, how could she possibly beat so many strong guys? So I'm sure that must be a rumor. The real fighters must be thugs President Lee hired. This might all just be a bluff, so I don't need to be afraid at all. As long as I use all my strength to collect dirt on her, I can even use her as a spy planted next to President Lee. Thinking this, the monitor relaxed considerably. After all, in a girls' high school, few could beat her. Just 2 years ago, she won the Youth Taekwondo World Championship, dominating throughout. If not for her father forcing her to go to medical school, she would have already gone abroad to compete for the national team. The monitor, preparing for revenge, pushed open the classroom door and found classmates giving her strange looks. Before she could figure out what was happening, a classmate leaning against the classroom door was still gossiping about her. With the monitor's terrifying appearance, it would be weird if she wasn't a delinquent. Another person quickly reminded her the monitor was behind her, and she was shocked into silence. The monitor also calmed down, smiling as she walked in and asked what they were chatting about. "Why is the whole class talking about me behind my back? You idiots." After cursing, the monitor began looking for the source of the rumors. Could it be Karma? But she was just a transfer student who had just arrived. She couldn't possibly make classmates believe her immediately, and this was definitely just the beginning. Thinking this, she immediately turned toward the curly-haired girl, and seeing how she didn't dare lift her head, the monitor immediately confirmed it was her. The next second, she pushed her to the ground and pressed her foot against her neck. "I warned you before not to talk nonsense. Seems like you can't understand human speech at all." Then came a beating. "You better prepare yourself mentally. After I'm done dealing with Karma, it'll be your turn, you idiot." Strictly speaking, the current situation was all because of Karma. She had to torture her severely.